All right, moving on. Combinations. This is where it gets interesting. Combinations of dotted eighth notes and 16th notes. So here, the first sort of little set that I like to do often, this can be applied to any arpeggio, but in general with this, with Villa-Lobos Etude #1, you can start by combining 2/16ths with 2/8ths. So every quarter note essentially is broken up into 4/16th notes, and you can take two of those and keep them as 16th notes, and then play the other two as eighth notes. So essentially, you're sort of changing each quarter into 3/8ths worth of time. So the first one, really sort of straightforward, would be just as if you played 1, 2, 3, and. So that rhythm would be 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and. That's the first one. Second one, just sort of rotate through these. Of course, you know, in your practice, you would practice them a lot more. I'm just giving you an example here. The next one would be practicing 1, 2, and 3. So now beat has changed, or focus has changed. 1, 2, and 3, 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 1, 2, and 3. There's your second pattern. Third pattern, 1 and 2, 3, 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 1 and 2, 3 And then finally, okay, so this last pattern is one and one and that one. Oh, that's the last one. Okay. So that is an example, or those are 4 examples that I like to use with combining 2/16 and 2/8. Next step, I think by this point you sort of have enough to really develop your technique on this etude. However, this one is really good too, and just a reminder that as you practice these groups, you can practice preparing in those spaces where you have an eighth note's worth of time. Okay, so 3/16 and 1/8. So here we would go 1 and 3 and 1. So. Second rhythm, it's going to be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. It's probably the easiest one. Probably mostly, because everyone thinks, we're grouping it more like the way it's subdivided, with a break between every 4/16 notes. Next one is 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So there's the third one, and then the fourth one, last one, is 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and. So okay. So now we are at the point where I'm just going to mention the last little two rhythms that every now and then I'll do to warm up. And these are combining eighth notes with a triplet of sixteenths. So it would be one, triplet, one, triplet, one, and then you can also do triplet, two, triplet, and triplet, and. So the way I do that is one, one. And then the other one is. And that, I think with that, we're going to stop talking about rhythms. There are other possibilities. You can expand the rhythms to rhythms of comprising a series of eight notes. But I think with that, you have sufficiently varied the rhythms and the spacing to help you with your preparation and your control. If you found this helpful, please subscribe, support, like, forward, and check out sixstringjournal.com for more lessons, articles, interviews, and things related to classical guitar study. Thank you.